Hey guys, thanks for stopping by the Everyday Watch channel. In this video, we're checking out a very unique timepiece from the Norwegian micro brand Micromilspec. Now, as their name might suggest, they actually make customized mil-spec watches, and they also work with other special government organizations, and as is the case for this model, they worked with the United States Space Force, or USSF. Now, I actually happen to be holding one of the declassified variations of this watch, and there's only about 25 of these ones available on their website, with a retail price of around 2,400 Canadian dollars, as supplied on this very nice FKM rubber strap. Now, you can spend about $100 more and opt for the bracelet. Personally, I'm a huge fan of this strap though. Now, with respect to case dimensions, I measured at 42.6 millimeters across. If you take a look at the side profile, I just love the angles and facets to their cases, and the lug-to-lug distance is right on 50 millimeters. And then in terms of case height, it's only 11.6 millimeters thick from the bottom of a screw-down case back with a sapphire display for the Swiss automatic movement, and then to the top of a flat sapphire crystal to cover the dial with some AR treatment on the underside. Now, this particular strap is very well integrated into the case, has a nice hobnail pattern on it, and even has a very nice Micromilspec signed buckle that's nice and angular as well, with two floating keepers. If you did want to actually swap it out, it should accept 20 millimeter straps between the lugs here, but personally, I'm wearing this strap all day, every day. And here's a quick in-studio wrist shot, just to give you a sense of how well this watch would wear on a 7.5-inch wrist size. You can see that there's lots of room left on this particular strap, so it can accommodate very large wrists, no problem. And it's very well planted with that angular case design. In terms of weight, I measured at 96 grams on this supplied strap, but of course you can try it on the bracelet or throw on different 20 millimeter strap variations too. If we focus in on the dial, definitely taking a lot of inspiration from the US Space Force, as it does have their Delta stars and orbit logo, which are nicely applied throughout the dial. Just below the 12 o'clock position is the Micromilspec applied logo and text. And then, of course, above the 6 o'clock, it does say USSF. They also laser engraved the dial with a really cool orbital pattern. And in the chapter ring right at the 12 o'clock, it also does say Sempre Supra. And I believe that's just always above. And it's a really cool, nice touch that's not very intrusive as well. You have a nice running minute track on the rehaut or chapter ring, and very nice applied hour markers throughout, with a 3 o'clock circular cutout for the date, which is actually kind of small, but it's non-intrusive and legible enough. Another subtle nod to the US Space Force is the handset, which is meant to evoke a rocket ship burning plume as it launches into orbit. So that's a really nice touch as well. And I just think that even though this watch isn't very thick, the dial textures and the different facets just lend itself to having a lot of depth and dimension. You can kind of get lost in the dial if you really want to. Now, in terms of low light legibility, there is superluminova on the applied hour markers and the handset, and they're pretty decent, but it's not like a dive watch that's going to burn out your retinas. But similar to other dive watches on the market too, it also has a 120-click unidirectional steel bezel. And it's actually quite a shallow bezel, but it has nice cutouts throughout different sections of it. So even with my gloved hands, I can grip it. Very audible and crisp clicks to the bezel, and no problems with alignment or backplay either. Now, in terms of the automatic movement inside this particular watch, it is a Sellita SW200-1 in Elaborar grade. They did a nice job decorating it with a customized Micromilspec logo with some additional finishes to the movement. At this price point, it would have been nice if they went with an SW300 or maybe like a La Jeu Perret Swiss movement, which they've done for some of their higher end pieces. But they do regulate this movement to be no worse than plus or minus 7 seconds per day. And with this particular example, it was running much better than that. Now taking a look at the case and the finishing, it's extremely well executed in my opinion. I really like the signed and screw down crown, which also does afford this watch 200 meters of water resistance. But you can see on the crown side, they also have these very long crown guards. It's not very obtrusive, but it's a nice faceted element. And then you also have a very fine polished bevel that extends from one end of the case to the other. So overall, I really did enjoy my time with this particular Space Force watch from Micromilspec. This was a loaner, so I will be sending it back. But personally, I really like where the brand is headed with their unique collaborations, and I did have a chance to meet with them last year at the Toronto Timepiece Show. If I was going to offer some subtle points for improvement, if they're going with a date, I would make the cutout slightly bigger so it's a little more legible. And again, I do think that that movement, while being very accurate in a workhorse, I think it could be potentially upgraded to a Sellita SW300 or La Jeu Perret, considering the $2,400 price tag. But that's going to wrap up this video. As always, I'd love to know your feedback on this particular timepiece. Would you consider picking one up? And if you do enjoy this content, please consider subscribing to the channel. It really does help me out. Thanks again for watching, and I can't wait to catch you guys in the next review.